highest rated episode ever is when my house almost caught on fire.
Yeah, that was a good one. I especially appreciated the security cam footage you sent me later, the smoke pouring out of your kitchen.
Yes. And then I was thinking, man, I wonder if SMS compressed it, because it is a 1080p thing of my wife opening the door and just coughing.
No, it's a beautiful video. I think I commented on it. The quality of the video was very high.
Yes.
What is that? Is that Ring or a Nest?
It's a Nest cam.
Yeah, it's nice.
I try to keep my overlords in check. I only have so many. Yeah, so let's jump back to Friday. Paul and I, which there's an ongoing joke in our house that everything always happens when Paul and I are trying to podcast. Case in point.
Is it in your house or is it between you and me?
A little A, a little bit B.
There is a not a daily ritual, but I would say during the summer and when your kid's on vacation, there's once or twice a week, Brad will look up at his ceiling, which is the floor for his child, and maybe sometimes we'll say something, and maybe sometimes has said something before, but your daughter takes your rules lightly.
I was going to say, in spirit only. In spirit only. So, and for people curious, the living room is right above me, so it's like, that's where she hangs out. Whatever.
So if she's watching the TV, jumping on the couch,
right now,
that's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're doing the podcast, and if you go back and watch the video, you can hear my wife open the door, and she's like, "Hey, the kid almost burned the house down with a pretzel." Now, in my mind, I'm like, it's a pretzel in a microwave. What's the big deal? I imagine she pulled it out, like the thing's smoking and whatever, and it's fine. I was incorrect in my assumption. I go upstairs after she comes back down the second time. She's like, no, I really need your help. I'm like, okay, I guess this must be a big deal. We're podcasting, whatever. I mean, we never interrupt the podcast for anything. Just kidding.
Right.
And I go upstairs, and the whole kitchen and dining room are just filled with smoke. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of bad. Our house still smells like burnt pretzel.
Yeah, that won't go away for a while. Yeah.
It's much better. I posted on Twitter, and actually some people recommend it's called Audubon, I believe is the name of the brand. And they sell passive and active. Well, I don't know if they're active, but they're like little jars things. They're of activated charcoal and everything else. And I bought a significant quantity of these. We'll just put it that way. I've also got my HEPA filter, like 2 HEPA filters running in there, blowing directly onto upside down mounted Audubon balls. And it's actually done a really good job. We have a new microwave because, to my kid's credit, and I will give her credit for this because she reacted well, she opened the microwave when she saw smoke was coming out and saw there was fire and threw water in there before getting my wife. Like, she opened it, saw fire, threw water on it, and then ran downstairs, which you can kind of hear in the podcast, and then got my wife, who was working at the time. So she made the best of a bad situation. And we have a new microwave now, Thurrott.
The picture of your pretzel looks
God.
A little bit like, how do I say it? Poop. It looks like
Yes, upon telling this to my dad, he goes, you did the same thing. Like, really? And he said, well, you didn't burn the house down, but growing up as a kid, we used to make microwave popcorn all the time as a kid. And me being a kid, all I saw was mom open the microwave, toss the popcorn in, you hit the popcorn button, and it starts. I never once realized that you have to take the little plastic off, and I melted that whole thing in the microwave.
Yep. Yeah, you can totally see that.
Mm-hmm. So, the apple doesn't fall far from the burning of the microwave.
That you've hit on something that is semi-profound, which is, as a parent, when you watch your children, and honestly what she did wasn't that bad, but as she screws up further in life, you'll have this moment of introspection where you realize, like, I did this. Like, this is ultimately my fault.
Yes. Yes, it's all there. Anyways, house is fine. I mean, nothing obviously major happened. We scrubbed down all the walls where we think the smoke hit. Thankfully, it was a beautiful weekend here, so we had all the windows open and just fans just blowing through the house and just pushing it all out. So I would say we could sell our home today and nobody would know that it smells like burnt pretzel, but to my wife and I, we can go,
you'll always know. It's like when you buy a used car and the person before you was a smoker and they did a really good job of cleaning it, but every once in a while you'll turn on the AC or the heat, and for the 1 second you'll catch that whiff of smoke, and you'll always know, that it's always there.
Yeah, it's our so our microwave is in our pantry. It's not out on the counter or anything. So it's like in a. Actually, I can tell you the exact size. Take a standard fridge, because this fridge used to sit like back in the wall, and we pulled the fridge out when we remodeled the kitchen and just put a door on it. So it's the size of a refrigerator. Right. It sits in there, and when you open the door now, you can still smell it, but it's.
Is there a firewall situation in there?
Oh God, no. There is a. For people who are going to try to bust my balls on this, there is a new outlet that I did run from the box, so it is code compliant. That is, the microwave is the only thing on that. I think it's a 20 amp. Pretty sure it's a 20 amp breaker.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
There we go.
Wow.
Speaking of other things that are now fresh and clean, the new comment system is live.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't had much time to play with it. We had kind of a goofy thing where we went live with it, and then George, our boss, kind of said, "Hey, this just occurred to me, but we should probably have a post up so people can, use the comment system, because it's not being applied to the older articles." But actually, the comments were available on his post, and then I did have a couple of things yesterday. But yeah, this is a big deal for me. There's some moderation questions I still have, but not that most people should care or even wonder about this. But one of my daily tasks is to go through the comments and to read them, of course, but also to moderate them. You get a lot of spam in there. So we have a very tedious system right now for getting rid of spam accounts, for example, which, again, I won't bore you with. But this system is supposed to alleviate a lot of that work. It uses AI and whatever. It's supposed to be very good. It's kind of probably the best in the industry, open web. And for people using this, so for me, it's a big deal. But, nobody cares about that part. Maybe the more important thing is for people using the site. Proper nesting and the ability to upload graphics and GIFs and edit comments. All these things that sound so basic that we, didn't have for some time, and for a few reasons. But Brad will know because he was a big part of this. Because we added the premium part to the website at the time, we had this weird issue where we couldn't use like out of the box commenting solutions. Because in the beginning we wanted to segregate. It seemed like such a good idea at the time. Like we were going to have like separate tabs for like premium and non-premium replies. But that gets into all these logistical issues. And so eventually we just went to a system where all the comments were just in the same, view anyway. And honestly, we probably could have used we did a lot of work to make the thing we made, which was stupid, and it just kind of set us back. It's one of many things that good intentions, but not the right solution kind of deal. So yeah, I'll be paying attention to this week, especially because I want to see how it goes. I've seen a couple of things I don't like a lot. Like I think there's maybe there's a setting for this, but if there's a reply to a comment, it just says see replies instead of expanding the whole thing automatically. I'd rather have it all out open.
I'm sure that's just a configuration setting, is my guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. We've been testing this for a while, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, it's for us, it's huge because this is just nuts and bolts, something that should have worked from the beginning, and I think it's in a good place. Yeah.
Also, conveniently, Microsoft. One of the nice things about when companies go to court to justify acquisitions, whatever, is they got to file a documentation to be like to justify how they can, in this case, spend $70 billion. And in Brazil, Microsoft acknowledged what we pretty much already knew. I mean, we'd always said, hey, Xbox is a 2-to-1 ratio between PlayStation sales. For every 2 PlayStations sold,
so you should say we said that during Xbox One.
Xbox One.
360 had come out a year. Let's make sure I'm right. Yeah, a year before the PS3. It actually kind of outsold it for most of the run.
Yep.
And then right at the end of the lifetime, the PS3 surpassed it. But they both exceeded about 80 million in sales. But when we got to the Xbox One, you could tell something was wrong right away. Right, there was a whole submarine incident, before it was even released.
Yep.
And it just might. And this was the time frame. You'll remember this too. Microsoft stopped reporting console unit sales because of how bad they were with the Xbox One, especially right in the beginning. It got off to a bad start. They did a nice job catching up with the Xbox One S and then X. They did. I mean, they really course corrected there, but they never caught up. They never caught up.
So anyways, Xbox One sales somewhere now officially, like if you took, I think the last PlayStation sales number we got was about 117, so which means Xbox One sold no more than 58 million, but I believe their statement was we have sold less than, so 50 to 55 I think is what you wrote. It's probably about right.
A guess. Like anyone else, all you can do is guess. Like you said, half is whatever number. You're like, well, it was less than that. What's reasonable? I'm giving, maybe I'm giving Microsoft the benefit of the doubt. But it's probably 50-something million, probably. Not horrible. I mean, I'm not going to remember any of these numbers off the top of my head. And, of course, the further you go back in time, the less meaningful they are. But Nintendo, remember, just released that Switch number. And they released the numbers for all of their consoles dating back to, the NES, the first system, the Famicom. And, Nintendo's had some ups and downs, right? GameCube didn't go over very well. Wii U was a really poor seller. Microsoft has only had four major console generations, and that one was that was the bad one for sure, which is too bad. Like I said, I think they by the time that thing wound down, I thought the Xbox One was in great shape. I think they did a good job with it. Yeah, that first one was a tank, and it required Kinect. Remember, super expensive.
Yep.
They kind of blew it like right out of the gate.
Yep.
And then the Xbox Series X and S, they've outsold Sony in at least the United States for some amount of time. That doesn't equate to the whole world, of course.
Right.
But I think it points to the fact that they're in a better place.
Yep.
With all the problems of the world and components and, whatever.
Well, there you go. There's your Monday morning. Paul's still in. How much longer are you in Mexico?
We fly home on Thursday.
Oh, nice. First day of school for my kid.
Oh, well, that'll be convenient because I won't be able to do the show that day.
That's even better.
We leave so early. Yeah.
First day of school is always fun.
We'll be doubly happy for you that day. You'll just get up with a shit-eating grin on your face.
Yeah, no kids in my life. It'll be great.
It'll be like a Disney movie with animals dancing and singing.
I mean, yeah. It's I don't want to say I push her out the door, but it's
have a good school year, honey. We'll see you in next May.
See you in 9 months. Daddy might be I would say Daddy be a little more tan, but let's be honest, I don't tan. So anyways, she's going into 4th grade. We'll see.
Yeah. Let's go. She can burn that building down next.